Hey guys, Matt Dog here with another video. This time I've been testing a 40 card Eldlich deck. It only has one extra floodgate, so it's not really a floodgate heavy version, but it's one that doesn't abuse transaction rollback and is a little bit more of kind of the old school way to play. And I actually had like a 75% win streak while I was in Master 1, or like a 15 to 5 I guess. So 5 losses, 15 wins over the last 20 duels. And I thought a number of those replays are really fun. They were, kind of gave me nostalgia for kind of the way we used to play um, maybe like a year or so ago. So I just kind of want to share it with you. This first one is going up against some sort of a branded deck. So this will be really interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah, they've limited wanted down to one, and that was a really nice package, the Diabell Star wanted package that we could abuse in the 60 card version. For now, I think it's okay to replace one of those wanteds with like a Pot of Extrav to help with your consistency, but we'll see. In this version, I was actually going a little bit more floodgate heavy, where I had Power Sink Stone. I ended up cutting out Power Sink Stone, even though I think it's a solid floodgate that might help in a couple of duels. There were enough duels where they could kind of play around it, and my own Horus cards would end up getting negated a little bit too often for my own comfort. All right. They're doing standard branded stuff. They only have 2 counters, so this is actually probably a game where Power Sink Stone is the MVP. So even though it's not in my current version, I ended up cutting it to whatever optimized plays. In this version, Power Sink Stone is just going to absolutely annihilate them. So they can only activate 2 monster effects per turn. This guy could have summoned Mirror Jade, but the Mirror Jade wouldn't have even been able to activate its effects. All right, summoning stuff out. Instead, he fusioned into Garura so that when I blew up the board, he'd get a draw 1, which, okay, fair enough. He's got a Bestial on the field, so he can summon out Lubellion, but it won't really matter. Okay, he really shouldn't have summoned that until next turn because it can't activate its effect. Send you to grave. Okay, he does get to recycle Branded Fusion for next turn. Wow, I wonder what this trap is that he set directly in this column. So, an interesting thing with Imperm, you can't activate Imperm if my monsters are already negated. So, you're going to see an interesting way that that plays out. First, we're just going to XYZ summon something. Probably Dingirsu. Yeah, so that forces him, since it's non-targeting, it forces him to activate this now. And he would be able to fuse away my Dingirsu with either like 2 dark monsters or the fact that it's an Aluber. All right, that's 1 monster effect activated. Dingirsu's off the field, but its monster effect is also going to activate. We'll send that fusion away. We don't really care about this. We don't activate effects to special summon. We just kind of intrinsically special summon directly from the grave. Yeah, so even though he has Max C, I'm just going to get a bunch of big bodies. I don't think he really has a way to deal with Power Sink Stone. Okay, so actually that wasn't Imperm, that was Super Poly, and he fused it with Tragedy, which means he also gets a Search Off. Yikes. But we kind of don't care too much about Super Poly. All of our monsters are different attributes, different types. That's kind of why we're running There Can Only Be One. This is an interesting interaction. So Power Sink Stone says like once per end turn, you have to remove the spellstone counters that it's accumulated. However, after you do that, if you start activating monster effects, those counters will go up and those counters will remain until our opponent's next turn. So I think he's trying to be sneaky by sneaking these monster effects in the end zone, but are in the end phase, but he should have activated them before I activated Power Sink Stone to reduce its counters. The other thing I do is I try to summon Eldlich in the draw phase, because either he lets it go through and I summon Eldlich, Or if he has an Ash Blossom, the Power Sink Stone counter goes up, and now you can't even activate monster effects. This is like better than Skill Drain once the counters are up. Okay, recycles the fusion, banishes Imsety, but we have 3 of those, so we don't really care. We've got our Eldlich engine is going to start circulating. And I don't know why he put Branded Lost in the same column as Power Sink Stone. Like, he really wanted to put an Imperm here, probably. But he doesn't. You can't fuse with my monsters. You have to either fuse with your own monsters or just let them be. He chooses to fuse so that he can use Branded Lost to do something. Maybe it would have been better just to leave it there so it would send Albion to grave and then he gets a draw. I don't know. Questions. Uses 1 monster effect. Now he's going to have Mirror Jade. In this version of the effect of the deck, I was also running Draco Utopian Aura. I end up switching it out for Solemn Judgement because I hate evenly matched, but yeah, so there he tries to use the last monster effect he's allowed to use to banish one of my guys. We don't care. We also don't care about the end phase Raigeki effect of Mirror Jade because it's all protected by the King Sarcophagus. Yeah, that's kind of another downside to running Power Sink Stone is our Duamutef keeps getting negated. Like, I still run Skill Drain because it's just great to activate that effect and kind of shut everything down, but yeah, I end up switching out Power Sink Stone for other cards. Okay, another Branded Fusion, and you saw again, because they keep activating monster effects, and after like I remove the counters in the end phase, it keeps going up. So he wants to summon Lubellion here so that he can tribute Lubellion to blow it up, to blow up my Power Sink Stone, but Lubellion, hold on. So Lubellion needs to tribute a dark dragon monster that's level 6 or higher in order to special from the grave. However, this Lubellion is a light dragon, so he couldn't summon it out in order to have a bestial on the field in order to send it to grave to destroy a card. So he was probably a little confused or confuddled there. I guess he was trying to super poly with my Hapi. Like, there weren't counters here. He could have just... Oh, well, he has to wait till the end phase. Whatever. So we pop that. We don't want to risk him getting a bestial in his hand and being able to pop our cards. Yeah, and he just surrenders. It definitely is reminiscent of, like, real old school Eldlich of a couple of years ago, where we have a good resource loop. Okay, what is this? Mikanko? Okay, and Mikanko Infernoble. You have like a good resource loop, good ability to recur resources from the grave, and then some sort of a floodgate to hold your opponent down. Obviously, it's a different play style that maybe you enjoy more or less, but you know, it is what it is. Also, we didn't even hardly use Eldlich that duel. It was mostly Horus. Horus Control, the best control deck. Ash Blossom, that sucks. Yeah, we don't care a ton about hand traps, but I mean, we care a little. Okay. Yeah, actually, believe it or not, just negating and destroying the Snake Eyes Ash can completely annihilate their plays. They don't have any monsters. He doesn't get the search. He can't send to grave to do anything. Yeah, we've got Eldlich, Conquistador for non-targeting destroy. Send this guy. Yeah, GG. That was a case where I think the value was more of our counter trap, Utopian Aura. We just stunned them for a turn by just like annihilating that particular play, and then bam, wow, royal rare, lovely, jealous. The only royal rare boss monster I have is Elbazoa. And Dogmatika is a cool deck, but it's not as strong as Eldlich, not as strong as a lot of, like, I don't know if pure Dogmatika would even be Rogue. I think you could run it as like a tech option inside of Mikanko, but I dismantled my Mikanko deck a long time ago because I never play them. Okay, another Power Sink Stone duel. All right, let's see if we can get something for our Horus engine. That would be big. Nice. Okay. Yep, we're going to definitely take the King's Sarcophagus. Yeah, I think Eldlich has great synergy. I think I've probably mentioned this in a previous video, but like I could use Eldlich to send this cursed Eldland to grave, and then instead of summoning Eldlich, I can use him as more discard fodder, but whatever. So that was a weird choice that they made. They used Dogmatika Punishment as soon as they summoned a monster. I think they wanted to destroy my Hapi or my Duamutef so that it would destroy like the King's Sarcophagus with an Elder Entity Entis, but Imsety's attack is too high, so they had to send something else. And I guess they also didn't want to wait for me to have multiple cards because then I would start activating their effects to do things. This is going to be another duel where obviously Power Sync Stone is going to be an MVP, but I also feel like it kind of limits my plays a bit. We'll see how it goes. We have basically 1 point of interruption and a floodgate. So, okay, this is really important. We absolutely need to destroy the field spell. I always say the two things with Lab is destroy the field spell, banish Lovely. We don't know where Lovely is yet. But this field spell is really important because we have this floodgate that we need to protect. So first I'm going to test if they have an Ash Blossom. They do. Okay, that's fine. This way I haven't wasted my Conquistador. I'll try to summon out my Eldlich. They have another Maxi. Okay. We have to get rid of the Cursed Eldland because it does restrict our other monsters from being able to attack because only zombie monsters can attack while you have that on the field. So we're going to try to destroy the field spell, and we do manage to do it in a way that avoids like him karma cannoning us. So we got really fortunate there that he didn't chain Big Welcome. I'm not sure why he didn't do that, but whatever. Let's see. We also, because we activated Conquistador after he used Karma Cannon, he actually reset it, so we have another Conquistador for next turn. We had one in hand anyways, but... Alright. Building up a pretty big board. Everything's negated. Yeah, can we just take a second? There's like 20 cards on the field. And like anytime I try to attack, we know they have at least one Karma Cannon and who knows what else. They can also get rid of my Floodgate at any time with Big Welcome. So here I actually have to activate one of my spell cards before we get to main phase 1, just because I want to resolve Pot of Extrav, and I can't do it unless it's the first thing I do, and I don't have any space. The other thing is, because they activated Rivalry, they were going to try to lock me into, like, Beasts or Beast Warriors or whatever. I want to be locked into Zombies so I can activate all these cards. Yeah. First things first, get a draw 2. Thank you. Okay, perfect. We can use... I liked using Elder Entity Entis to pop cards that I know are important. So I either go for the Rivalry, or if I didn't know about Rivalry, I would have gone for the Karma Cannon. Okay, so they're getting more points of interaction, but their effects are... Okay, so this is something people often make this mistake with. Power Sync Zone resolves each time a monster's effect resolves. So they should have chained Lovely as the last card in this chain. Because they did Labyrinth last, like it's a kind of a habit to do to avoid like a Solemn Strike or a Gamma blowing up your Lovely. But because Chandelier's effect activated last to come back to hand, this counter goes up to 2, and now both of these effects are negated, and he just surrenders. Poor guy. I mean, he still had plays, but I think he just didn't want to grind it out. Yeah, obviously, in that duel, the Floodgate was important, but it's also important that we're able to play around the Floodgate. All right, for this duel, we've just got a standard Snake Eyes deck. Yeah, you can tell the duels are very different from the style of play that my 60-card deck does. Like, the 60-card deck is a lot faster with, like, transaction rollback onto Elemental Burst and the inclusion of a number of different packages, and there's a lot of flexibility with the 60-card deck. With the 40-card deck, you kind of do have limited options. Okay, here we're also running Lord of Heavenly Prison. Part of the reason... Okay, they're going to banish my Eldlich, that sucks. A big part of the reason I'm running Lord of Heavenly Prison It's because there's a bunch of like Salamangrate decks that can either activate a trap card that targeting destroys 4 of your cards, which could be like all 3 of your Horus monsters plus King Sarcophagus, or like all of your back row. And they even have a thing where they can activate a monster effect and it'll blow up your entire board, same as like an elemental burst. So I think Lord of Heavenly Prison is kind of a necessity in this format. Okay, pop off. We took out the field spell at least. Okay, they've got a lot of bodies. The reason I blew up the Link Karibo is because I didn't want them to make SP Little Knight. All right, so now they're starting to get a lot closer to being able to activate SP Little Knight. They chain all of their effects, so none of my Horus monsters are on the field. Okay, there's Promethean Princess. Let's blow that up. Yeah, Princess was going to summon out the Flamberge Dragon, which we don't want. They put another card in the back row. Okay. Link Karibo comes out. And there's SP Little Knight. Okay. So there they banish my Conquistador, which on the one hand I guess makes sense because it's like a recurable resource that'll get me an Eldlich, but they know that this is a Nadir Servant. Here I make a mistake. I should have attacked with Lord of Heavenly Prison first. Oh well. That means their SP Little Knight's just going to be around for another turn. Yeah. I cut the Nadir Servant package in the 60 card deck because we need cards that can get cards out of our hand. But in this 40 card deck, where it's like you have kind of floodgates and a little bit more kind of control of the board, it's really great for being able to specifically take out 1 or 2 cards, and it has nice like recursion and ability to get resources back. So here, they obviously had IP, they had SP Little Knight, so I was worried whatever I tried to do to target some card with Dogmatika Punishment, they would be able to chain SP to get out of the way. So here, I kind of force them. Either they activate SP to get rid of both IP and SP, or they just let me blow up SP, and then they know I have Dogmatika Punishment, so like whatever they summon, I'm probably just going to blow 2 of their cards up. And I don't know if he knew, but when Eldlich is treated as a continuous trap, we can still activate all of our Eldlich monsters. Yeah, and he scoops. We're going to get another Eldlich in rotation pretty quickly. He's going to start clearing up our back row. Yeah, sorry, buddy. No floodgates in that duel. That was a lot more of the control side of things, just taking over. Ooh, Kashtira. Yeah, I feel like Kashtira is kind of a problematic deck for us. I mean, it's a problematic deck for a lot of people because, again, it's kind of this floodgate thing. Like, they have this Macrocosmos, boss monster who makes it so all of our cards get banished. And that really sucks when we're running the Nadir Servant package because all of our removal effects for, like, back row or problematic cards is from sending Elder Entientis to the graveyard. This is pretty good though. Yeah, we'll just skill drain you. Skill drain's still great. Like if we activated Power Sync Stone there, they would have done all the important monster effects anyways. Okay, so now that we have a card that's like gets value off of being discarded, we can pair it with King Sarcophagus, blow up their monsters, but obviously King Sark is protecting ours. And I just leave Eldlich in the grave for now. I don't want to give up like a Solemn Judgement. Yeah, I'm going to blow up Kashtira Birth, because if I ever activate a monster effect like King Sark to send something to grave, then, we're going to be in trouble. They can't hit over Imsety. Another Eldlich, another fodder for discard. All right, let's get happy, because I'm happy. Cleared the board again. Yeah, I mean, you can't feel bad for them, right? I mean, their whole thing is setting up like a Rise Heart, and a lot of times they run like Dimension Shifter, Macrocosmos, so we run Skill Drain, get bested. At this point, I think we have game, so I'm just going to special out the Eldlich. Pop, 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 goodbye. Yeah, that's kind of a crucial thing, is you never want them to get their plays going. A lot of decks have better sort of resource loops where they all like search their own cards, and this card grabs that card, and this card recycles from the grave to draw two, blah blah blah. Ooh, this was a fun duel. Monarchs. I think it was this one, right? Yeah, this dude's wild. Making like I'm gonna go back and show the profile again in case people want to copy it. In case I want to copy it, in case it's like some sort of a thing you can do on a budget. I wonder if there's any ultra rares in that whole deck actually. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go back and take a look at this. Yeah, so Monarchs, they sort of have to tribute summon, but they have effects where they can tribute your monsters, or your opponent can't summon from the extra deck unless they're, tribute summon monsters. So there are like some floodgates to it. It's very control based. All right, so right now I'm kind of looking at this board. I'm like, what is this? Okay, so you can't be destroyed by card effects and can't be targeted. Okay, that's solid protection. I probably have to destroy that with the Conquistador. This card, during your opponent's main phase, if it's in your hand, we know they have one in hand because it got bounced, you can banish a card from your graveyard and then tribute summon. Okay, so you tribute summon this card, but what does it do when you tribute summon it? You have to then you get to special summon a monster from your deck. Okay. So this is a way for them to get some sort of an interaction on my turn, either if they have the card that lets them tribute summon my monsters, or they can summon some other monster that has an interaction. Here I'm just going to set 5 pass. I'm like, okay, what are you going to do? You're supposed to be control deck. How are you going to control me? Not impressed so far. I mean, they've got this body that came back, I guess. Being non-targetable and indestructible, along with this field spell, kind of negating the ability to summon certain cards, is okay. This one's a non-targeting shuffle of field, hand, or grave. So I think this guy's kind of a big part of the way that they control, and it is an ultra rare. Okay. So they shuffled my Eldlixir, which actually really sucked. That meant I couldn't use my Conquistador, but we just recycle Engrave and use it next turn. Haven't killed me yet? Okay, now what are they going to do? What's your plan, buddy? Yeah, Monarchs is definitely a fun deck to go against just because like I've never played against them before. They're like the first deck you get in like solo mode too. Okay, so here they think they're just going to kill me. First, we have to destroy the protection card. None of their cards could be destroyed otherwise. And I actually kind of sat there and I was like, okay, none of your monsters can hit over 2800 defense. But again, reading's important. The field spell, field spells always do multiple things. They make their monsters gain attack, and then they either like remove a card or floodgate something. So basically, Zombie World should make all of our zombie monsters gain 800 attack to keep up. Anyways, it makes their attack grow, so they're able to actually hit over me. Otherwise, I would have definitely destroyed Majesty's Fiend with Punishment, sent Elder Entity Entis, and now that it's off the field and I can activate monster effects again, I'll pop something. But for now, this is actually making it so I can't even activate monster effects in my hand or my grave, which is a real pain. So instead, I wait until the end phase to try to do stuff. In this case, I really wanted to get rid of the field spell because it increases their attack, which is it goes up to 3600, which is even more than my Eldlich at its peak. What does this card do? So this is kind of a skill drain, negates the effects of all face-up monsters. Sure. Yeah, it's nice when other decks are like playing certain floodgates, but you can kind of play around them. Okay, none of you can hit over Eldlich. Oh, they're going to tribute him away, though. We can still summon Eldlich out, though. All right. He's going to non-targeting shuffle one of my cards. We'll blow something up. He'll probably shuffle away. See, I think that was a mistake. I think they should have shuffled away one of my cards on the field, especially because the card in my hand, Hapi, was literally a brick. So it's probably honestly like the worst card they could have tried to shuffle. Yep, their own field spells negating that, or continuous spells negating them. I guess they forgot they don't have the field spell anymore. He didn't gain attack to hit over me. Okay. So now we get to targeting, remove a card. Probably shouldn't have gotten rid of that card. Oh, I wanted to use an SP Little Knight effect. Okay. Okay, he's doing something. All right, what are you going to do? So far, I'm not super impressed with the control aspect of this, at least compared to our deck, right? So this card, I think it has some sort of a graveyard effect. While it's in your graveyard, yeah, it does something, so I just banished that instead. It was between those two monsters, which I was going to banish. Here, my SP Little Knight is a real danger to me, and another reason why I wish I had used that Dogmatika Punishment on that Majesty's Fiend earlier to try to take out the field spell, because I have a lot less life points than I could have if I made the right play, but whatever. So my point is I needed to activate SP Little Knight as soon as possible, so that he couldn't summon a monster with like 2,400 attack and kill me, which I think they all have exactly that amount of, even more than that actually. But my point is I had to do that, but that also helped because this card then they weren't able to use it as fodder to tribute summon anything. Nadir Servant is great. We're going to pop that field spell again. Don't want them gaining attack. Dogmatika Punishment's great. Yeah, I used SP Little Knight on the previous turn, so I can attack directly this turn, and that's game. Yeah, that was an interesting deck. That's kind of the nice side about playing in Master 1. Like once you get up here, there are a lot of like really good players that are doing experimental stuff, but obviously they also quit quite a bit. Yeah, so what is this? This guy, Maxi, Ash Blossom, obviously. I feel like instead of Maxi and Ash Blossom, they really need more kind of control cards. Because the big thing for them is they have the like the field spell and this card, which are both highly searchable, that can basically be like you can't summon from the extra deck and skill drain. Like if we had a searchable skill drain and a searchable like what's a monster that like I don't even know. Like those are really strong floodgates that are searchable. So because and then this card obviously makes it so neither player can activate monster effects. You're negating like the hand and the grave. So this deck has super strong floodgates. And then this card allows you to go into this card, which is sort of their main form of removal, which is like you just non-targeting shuffle a single card. I'm not sure what else they can do, but I think they need to get rid of the hand trap package, like get rid of Max C, get rid of Ash Blossom, get rid of Called by the Grave, and replace that with something like some sort of a control-ish package, maybe like some Solemn Strikes. Yeah, honestly, probably Solemn Strikes. Some sort of a removal card. No, your cards aren't protected from destruction, as unless you have the field spell up. So maybe not Torrential Tribute. Honestly, maybe, yeah, maybe Torrential Tribute or Comic Cannon. I think instead of these 8 cards, yeah, 3 Solemn Strike, and then you need 5 other cards that are just kind of removal cards, maybe like triple Torrential Tribute and double, I don't know, like Ice Dragon's Prison, or the 5 cards could be the Dogmatika package and Ecclesia, 2 Nadir. Oh, but you can't use your extra deck. I don't know. Basically, I think that if these 8 cards were cards that allow you to get rid of cards your opponent controls that like can pop a card or send a card to grave. Maybe Terrors of the Overroot could be an interesting card. Maybe just like Solemn Strike. Actually, okay, so 3 Solemn Strike, 2 Solemn Judgement, and 3 Draco Utopian Aura. Just like a bunch of counter traps. I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting deck. Okay. We got other duels to go to, though. Okay. The battle of the control decks continues. Good old Gravekeeper Kashtira Stun. Why are they running these? Because this is an Earth statue and this is an Earth, but you can't special. Do they have the card that lets you... They're not even running Birth? I don't know what these cards are doing here, especially when it makes you a 41 card deck. I would cut Fenrir and Unicorn and replace it with like, I don't know, maybe like a 3rd Crackdown or something. I don't know. Ooh, like Elder Ultimate Slayer. That's always fun. Do you have Nadir Servant? Okay. Yep, interesting. I'm starting to do the thing now where I start like critiquing people's decks, which is probably what I should be doing when I'm like looking at their decks instead of just being like, oh yeah, this is the Snake Eye deck, and then kind of moving on to the next one. But I'm also more interested in the kind of control decks. Ooh, I brick. Well, okay, so Imsety is really big. Imsety is going to kind of solve our hand, assuming they don't have an Ash Blossom, which if they're running a control deck, again, you probably shouldn't be running an Ash Blossom. Like, you need something a little more high impact. Okay, good. No Ash Blossom. And they probably shouldn't, even if they had Called by the Grave, it wouldn't work under Necro Valley. So, yeah, they would need to use a Solemn Strike to stop that. Okay. And this is a way that Eldlich can play around these types of decks pretty well. Maybe it was a mistake to use... Okay, so they kind of got me in a rough spot. This one means I can't special summon, and this means I can't summon from the grave. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that, oh no. Actually, I think I should have probably gone for Fossil Dyna, because then I could use King Sark to summon from the grave, because we don't have to activate any effects to summon from the grave. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Bestial Rebellion can summon even under Necro Valley. Okay. Yeah, so due to a weird wording thing, I should have gone for Fossil Dyna and then just summoned these guys. It sucks because then I wouldn't have a way to get rid of Necro Valley because I can't get Eldlich back out of the grave and I can't banish the traps. So, I don't know. Going for either of those floodgates, both had pros and cons. For now, though, we're popping off. To be fair, I did have Torrential Tribute, so I wasn't that worried about Fossil Dyna, although they probably have a Solemn Judgement anyways. These cards are useless while they have Fossil Dyna. Yikes. Yes, this is actually... Yeah, I guess probably going for the Necro Valley would have been better, because right now I'm in a real pickle. Although Nadir Servant is obviously great. Yep, they're going to Solemn Judgement that. I'd get too much advantage. I'd be able to normal summon a monster that can hit over Fossil Dyna. I would be able to summon an Elder Entity Entis that can destroy Fossil Dyna. And Entis would be able to search out a punishment, so even if they defeat my Ecclesia or set up like a Moon Mirror Shield or like Mirror Wall or whatever, then I would still have a punishment. So yeah, I would have like 3 different ways to deal with them if they let me resolve Necro Valley. Whatever. Here I just sent a card to grave to get an Eldlich in hand, because I don't want them to draw a Necro Valley and then I can't get Eldlich in my hand anymore. So my plan is just to like draw a spell card, get rid of Fossil Dyna, and it's just pop off. Yep, goodbye. Does he have a Solemn Strike or something? Nope. Okay, now everyone's coming. Again, people are so premature. They see the first monster and they have to pop it, which, like, I guess it sort of is forced out, because if they wait for me to summon a monster with a low enough attack for them to send Elder Entity Entis, then my Imsety will get rid of one of their cards, but yeah, whatever. Now I still have my King Sark. Their last card was an Imparm? Bro. Okay, I need to take another look at his deck. You shouldn't be running Imperm in a stun deck. You need... It's just too low impact. Like, you can't... It takes multiple turns to kill people. You're relying on your floodgates to slow the game down. Yeah. GG. And obviously we can make Zeus after this if we wanted to. And an SP Little Knight. Alright, let's take another look at that deck. I have gotten Master 1 with Stun like a few, like 6 months ago or something. What is this guy dealing with? Yeah, so you don't need... Yeah, so I was criticizing the deck earlier. I would get rid of Imperms, get rid of the Kashtiras, so now you have 3 more cards to fill. How many normal summons is this? This is 3, 6, I think that's fine. 3 more cards. Evenly match is great in this format. Solemn Judgement, I guess you care. I would probably replace both Imperms and both Fenrir's with like 3 Solemn Strike, and then you have 40 cards, and Solemn Strike is just amazing. So yeah, I think that's what I would do. Cracknoud's really nice, especially in this type of deck. Mirror Wall is also a fun deck card. Ooh, Paleozoic. Yeah, okay. This is interesting. Just one of these, triple rollback. You could probably cut one of these cards. Uh, Feels like 40 is unnecessary. 41 is unnecessary. Okay, extra deck, yeah. Probably just cut one of the needlebug nests. Yeah, I wasn't directly inspired to make my deck based off of Joshua Schmidt. I had actually been kind of testing and working on rollback stuff already. And I did see other people make videos where they were using like elemental burst on rollback, for example, and I sort of was like, ooh, that's cool, and I kind of like brought it into my deck. Um, so I think I'm like whatever, there's Joshua Schmidt, who's kind of innovating a lot in this kind of back row um way. And then there were like other people, and then I sort of picked it up from them. And then after I saw Joshua Schmidt had already had decks like this for months, I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. What a coincidence. Anyways, yeah, so they have 5 back row, and I don't want to just willy-nilly activate Nadir Servant to pop one of them at random. I really want to wait to see them activate a floodgate, them summon some monster, something. I want them to commit. Okay, Cursed Eldland gets resources online. Okay, that's interesting. They're going to destroy that card, which makes sense. It like negates the effect, but now Cursed Eldland's still going to send a card to grave. Yeah, this is really good in these kind of control. Cursed Eldland's really good in this control style for getting resources back. Um, you don't probably need to run more than 2 of them. They are refusing to activate monster effects, so I still activate something. Oh, this was funny. Okay, so I only run 1 Ecclesia in this deck because Nadir Servant can grab my Ecclesia from the graveyard. So he knew I had sent an Ecclesia to grave from last turn and like, linked it off into SP Little Knight. And I don't think he was paying attention because my Nadir Servant grabbed my Ecclesia from grave and added to hand. So here he's chaining Called by the Grave. I think he's trying to banish my Ecclesia because he thinks it's still in grave, but it's not. So he has to banish one of my Eldliches, which, since I have 2 here, does literally nothing. And add another Dogmatika Punishment. I can only activate these once per turn, so I'll probably look for some excuse to activate Dogmatika Punishment this turn. There I just got a Huaquero in the grave so I can set another Eldlixir. I had an Eldlixir in grave anyway, so it doesn't really change anything. It's just now I can set in Eldlixir, so I'm set. Non-targeting destroyed, non-targeting banish, punishment. Okay. He could have chosen to chain to my Eldlixir to summon out Paleozoic Olenaudos from the grave, because they summon back every time you activate a trap effect, but whatever. Okay. I'm really surprised he's just kind of letting me do stuff. Like, what do you have? I mean, it's very similar in like concept to our 60 card deck, and I think some people might even say that Paleos is a stronger control deck if you want to try to abuse rollback because and grass and reasoning and stuff because they have this effect to summon themselves from the grave. But I feel like a big thing with Paleos is they I can't get rid of Paleozoic Olenaudos with SP Little Knight because it's unaffected by monster effects. I'm still going to try to destroy something though. Yeah, that was a trap card. So we get out of the way so that my Eldlich is going to stay face up for next turn, and his Karma Cannon resets both of my traps, so this actually works out really well. He sends a Needlebug Nest. Okay, so yeah, he sent Needlebug Nest, which sent a bunch of his Paleos to grave, and once a bunch of traps start activating and they start summoning from grave, then he has a bunch of like rank 2s that can do interesting things. But I just feel like the Eldlich engine provides you, like, you can kill your opponent a lot faster. Like, I prefer being able to get a bunch of non-targeting destroys and banishes over these guys. They don't like reset resources from the grave, they just set them in like little level 2 bodies. And I think you see in his extra deck he has a bunch of like generic link monsters like Unicorn, where you can just have a bunch of them and summon. He copies, yeah, so he copies my Karma Cannon, but because he's not running Karma Cannon, or sorry, he copies my punishment, but since he's not running that package, he can't send anything interesting. He just sends like a unicorn to pop my SP Little Knight, which fair, he doesn't want it dodging out of the way all the time, but... So this is tricky. Every time I activate a trap effect, he's going to be able to chain to do something. So I chain a Huaquero to banish the card he's trying to summon, but when I use my Huaquero, he summons another card, and now he's going to roll back onto Karmic Cannon to avoid his own Paleo getting destroyed, I guess. And he did chain it correctly, so he doesn't reset my traps for next turn. So because I activated Dogmatika Punishment the previous turn, what I really wanted to do here is to summon out Chaos Angel. We have the 2 level 5 monsters to get a banish off. Unfortunately, the way Dogmatika Punishment works, if you activate it on your own turn, you have to wait until the end of your next turn to be able to summon from your extra deck. So it does lock you out of your extra deck for quite a while. So I can't even make like a Blackluster Soldier or something. All right, let's try to pop something. Oh, this was good. So here I destroy my own Eldlich, because otherwise he's going to be flipped face down and everything won't be able to activate. And he resets all of my Conquistadors again. Like, isn't this awesome? His Karmic Cannon's helping me out so much. Like, Karmic Cannon normally is a card that, like, ends your opponent's turns, but here he's just giving me stuff. Alright, he does banish my other Eldlich, though, which is a pain. Do I still have my Hapi somewhere? Okay. Yeah, so banishing both our Eldliches is a pain. So he makes this Link 2 monster. It's unaffected by monster effects, but it's not unaffected by trap effects, so we're just going to pop it. If he made the one that was unaffected by trap effects, I would have negated the summon with Solemn Strike. So neither of these monsters can hit over Ecclesia, and Ecclesia can't be destroyed by monsters from the extra deck. So that one I think is, let me just check, is this one? Yeah, no, unaffected by monster effects. So again, we are totally fine. Blow that up too. The XYZ materials go back to grave. So if I activate any traps, he's going to start summoning all his monsters back. Instead, I just attack him and kill him. He banished both my Eldliches, but yeah, maybe he's not running the best deck. But it's super interesting, and I'm always learning from Paleo players. Like, they're doing a lot of good innovations in that area. Yeah, this is kind of an interesting card. I think if you banish it from your grave, your opponent can only attack one monster, and if they destroy that monster, I think the way it works is like they can't attack any of your other monsters. So it's kind of a way to survive for a turn that has a graveyard effect as well. Lost Wind comes back from the grave, but it's not super impactful in my opinion. Like, yeah, you mill it and then it kind of comes back, but I prefer cards that are, I don't know. I just don't like Lost Wind as much. Also, because they run cards like Paleozoic Deinonymiscus, they need to discard cards in order to target and banish, which, because they're running rollback, they need something that discards cards, but I prefer kind of running the Diabellstar package and the Horus engine, because you're getting a lot more value off of sending to grave. I don't know. Okay, next up, what have we got? Snake Eyes. Okay. Yeah, notice there, I don't care at all about what their deck is. I'm just like, oh, yeah, Snake Eyes. I mean, they're all pretty similar to each other. They're not doing crazy stuff that surprises me. All the ratios are pretty similar. It is nice that Snake Eye Ash has been limited to 1. So we'll see how that goes. Here, definitely don't try to activate Imsety to get greedy to draw a card if they have an Ash Blossom that just kind of ends that turn. So now, there I don't bother summoning these 3 monsters, just because it's like, I don't want to give them 3 extra cards just for, I mean, these kind of like would punish them for doing stuff. I don't know, it's kind of a trade-off. Maybe I could have summoned at least like a Hapi. Solemn Judgement is nice. Yeah, you can just use Solemn Judgement like Utopian Aura. We just negate and destroy. Here I think I was probably premature though, because with, how do I say this? So Snake Eyes has a very specific like choke point. After they've used a certain number of monster effects, then they just can't do anything anymore. So at this point, they had already used Snake Eye Oak to summon out Ash. Ash added a card to their hand, but they'd already used Poplar, so like they're not gonna like summon a Poplar or whatever. Um, so I just blow up both of their cards, and it's like, how are you gonna get Flamberge out? Yeah, it's over. They activate Ash Blossom, but you know, it's not impactful enough. Yeah, we're just gonna start summoning all three of our Horus monsters. No Max C. They negate Duamutef, so he survives for a turn. Just hit him out of spite. But we also have a Solemn Strike, and we're gonna negate one of their monster effects, their spell card effects, just cause. We already have Solemn Strike to negate a monster effect, so otherwise I probably would have made number 90. It didn't matter, they added Imperm. Solemn Strike, the Ash Blossom, or the Snake Eyes Ash. Oh, that's annoying. They can still recycle stuff with that. Poplar comes out. What is Poplar going to grab? I guess there was nothing they could grab. Sorry, buddy. All right, last duel. What is this? Ooh, Sprite. Yeah, they're making Sprite with Jet up to 2 now, and they're also making Rite of Aramasir up to 3 now. I'm not sure if we should have 3 copies of Rite of Aramasir. If we do like sort of the Horus Eldlich adventure package, I might even debate only having 1 Rite of Aramasir. What we really prefer to have is the Water Enchantress, because she's fuel for discards while also getting us into the package, and we only really need to activate it once to get everything online. Yeah, I don't know, but they're making Rite of Aramasir up to 3, they're bringing Sprite up to 2, so this kind of deck's probably going to get more consistent in the future. Cool stuff. Okay. Yeah, Sprite used to be tier 1, and what did they really even lose? Like a little bit of consistency? Yeah, I think that's kind of... Oh, they've lost Toad. Yeah, okay, so Omni Negate slash Steel, that's gonna be a pain. Okay, they have Adventure Package, so they get the Omni Negate, and they have a Monster Negate, which they'll probably link off into something. Okay, so here they need to have 2 cards in hand in order to make this work, because the field spell makes you put a card back. Yeah, the field spell's nice. I would probably only ever run 1 of these, and even then all it does is like make your engine more consistent. I don't know. Okay, they make an IP. So there the Horus engine was just like a generic effect monster body. Okay. Starter. Sprint, what is that going to send? Gamma? Don't you have... I thought they have like the level 2... Yeah, they have like the level 2 monster lets them summon more level 2 monsters. I don't know. So right now what we're dealing with, they have a spell negate. This card can make it detach a material in order to target a monster on the field and return it to hand. Okay. So they have a bounce, spell negate, and yeah, what happened? They got rid of their adventure engine. I don't know. This seems pretty suboptimal to me. Max C. Okay, that could be a pain. IP. Okay, that's also going to be a pain. Okay, so I activate Lord, and I assumed he was going to make Appaloosa. Here he makes Underworld Goddess. Maybe he thinks he can negate me trying to summon Imsety, but it's not an effect that I activate. He just comes out. So this Underworld Goddess, she can't negate Eldlich Summon from Grave, and she can't negate Imsety. The only thing she can negate is like her Eldlixir. Yeah, Hero's kind of daring him to use Sprite Carrot to send Elf to negate and destroy my Sark. Because, like, I have another one, and that's just a body I don't need to worry about. But here, I guess he's holding on to his Carrot for some reason. We can just hit over the Underworld Goddess. Obviously, the King Sarcophagus is non-targeting, so she would be unaffected by trying to use that effect. So we do need Duamutef to hit over her. We also have a Torrential Tribute, which can pop everything. They do have their Horus engine going. So here, I'm going to wait for them to like link these off into XYZ monster before I bother using Torrential Tribute, probably. Okay, now they have the Omni Negate online. Do they have the Equip spell? No, the Equip spell's already engraved. So for some reason, because I think it's like yeah, basically, except during the damage step. Okay, so the King Sarcophagus abilities don't trigger these abilities from either of these monsters. So they try to hit over me, I use my Sarc. They use their Sarc to hit over me. There I was kind of daring them to activate Wandering Griffin Rider to negate the Eldlixir, because either way, like, he doesn't attack. But then I would be free to Torrential at some point. Okay, so now this card makes it so I can't activate a spell card, but I mean, this is a trap. I can just threaten to blow it up and they'll, whatever, Wandering Griffin Rider. Okay. This is kind of control-ish. Yeah, they're going to banish my Imsety. So this causes me to make like a really dumb mistake. So I summon out the Hapi. I activate King Sarcophagus because, like, I don't know, I was like, oh, you banished my Imsety, I'll just get another one. But obviously, this guy can negate and steal a spell card, so probably wasn't the best thing. And I actually discarded my other King Sarc, so that's how you know that was a, like, mistake on my part. And he still had the Wandering Griffin Rider. Yeah, that was just terrible. I don't know what I was doing. Dingirsu threatened to send something to grave. They chain, which would negate, but it wouldn't be able to destroy because I can protect my cards from being destroyed for 2 turns. However, the way that Wandering Griffin Rider is written, he needs to shuffle back into the deck in order to negate the effect. So if I blow Wandering Griffin Rider up, he doesn't negate the effect, and then we can non-target and send something to grave. So we're just going to send your King Sarcophagus. Now they still have the field spell, which will allow them to summon their monsters back out, but they're not going to have time to do that. Goodbye. Easy money. Yeah, so these duels were a lot of fun. It feels a lot more old school. Is it stronger? I mean, I don't think you can say it's stronger. Like, Elemental on Burst onto Rollback is super consistent and powerful. It is a little bit more high ceiling, like you have a little bit more dead hands probably with the 60 card deck. So let's see what we're doing. Obviously we have the Horus package. Like, in theory, you can cut one of these and cut this guy, but if I'm going to do Horus, I like to go a little bit heavier on it and actually use it more. We have, obviously, standard Eldlich package. You already know how it is. Dogmatika package. We got the Ecclesia, a couple Nadir Servants, a couple Punishments, you know, the standard stuff. Triple Lord of Heavenly Prison. I talked about this earlier in the video, but like, there are the salad decks that can either blow up your entire board or target and destroy 4 of your cards. Like, those can be pretty annoying decks. So I think Lord of Heavenly Prison's probably going to be a 3 of mandatory in our kind of control decks. The fact that you can also, like, search out a really strong spell card or trap card that you can set when he summons, it just gives you a lot of opportunities to plus. Usually you'll just set a Pot of Extravagence, so you get a draw 2 the next turn in addition to your normal draw. Really helps you reset things. Also, Pot of Prosperity. Sometimes you just really want to get into your King Sarc. I could see you honestly just using this to banish 3 because you just kind of grab some random card, but I don't know, it depends on your hand. Cursed Eldland. I don't like having 3 of these just because you don't want to have 2 in your hand, and the math is like, if you have 1 already in your hand, it's like 1 in 38 or whatever that the other one will be in your hand. So a 2 of is very rare to have both in your hand, but a 3 of, it's a lot more common. But it's really good. It brings resources into your hand that you can discard, that you can send with Eldlich. It grabs you an Eldritch, so it can be in like an interruption. Horus, we talked about. Torrential Tribute has great synergy in this deck. You can use it to destroy your entire opponent's board. It doesn't destroy your Eldlich if he was summoned from the grave. It doesn't destroy any of your Horus monsters. Obviously, because this is only the 40 card deck, we're not running a bunch of other cards like Karma Cannon, needle sealing and so on, but it's sort of like because this deck's a lot more consistent as being smaller, you kind of only need these. You triple Solemn Strike is fantastic. It's our #1 option going second. Solemn Strike plus a Torrential Tribute just wipes everything out. We're not running Trap Trick in this deck either. Like, Torrential Tribute and Punishment are really nice, but other than that, there's not a lot of other traps you go into, whereas in our 60 card deck, there's a huge library of traps that you might want to choose. Solemn Judgement is great. Obviously, you can negate the summon of a big monster, but it's also good because there are nasty traps that you run into. Like, I feel like there's a lot more evenly matched cards now, just because really popular decks like Snake Eyes, for example, don't set up the Omni Negates as much. So I think we just need something sometimes to protect our back row. You could switch these out with like Draco Utopian Aura or something if you wanted. Skill Drain is obviously a fantastic floodgate, negates everything. I'm not really running Power Sink Stone in this deck anymore, and it's like, where would I even put it? Like, where would I put Power Sink Stone? This deck's already super tight. Like, you'd have to like start cutting like Torrential Tribute, which is like literally bread, butter. Yeah, maybe you'd cut Lord of Heavenly Prison, but I don't like that idea. Yeah, so that's that deck, and then obviously we have all of these are our Elder Entity whoops. I'll put that back later. Elder Entity Entis, Nadir Servant, Ecclesia targets, Chaos Angel you make with these guys. These are all of our rank 8 monsters. These are rank 10 monsters, so draw 3, spell negate, monster negate. This is our going second card. It's like protects everything from being destroyed and it sends to grave. This is kind of a one-turn kill option you can make using Lord and Lord. Zeus, because we have a bunch of XYZ monsters. SP Little Knight you can make using Eldlich plus like a Huaquero turned into this guy, or maybe like you send one card to grave and then you use Dingirsu plus a effect monster to send something else to grave, and that way also you free up all the XYZ materials so they can summon it back again. And then the card I accidentally deleted was you already know what it is, Bucephalus, which just sends a Garura so you can take out high attack monsters and still get some value off of it. I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.